Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com. My name is Jason Newland. Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. And this is Q&A Friday. Q&A Friday, but being recorded on a Saturday. So should have done this yesterday. Good Friday, the 18th of April 2025, but I am now doing it instead on Saturday, the, I suppose still a good Saturday, maybe 19th of April. Did I say 18th of April yesterday? 19th of April today, 2025 at 7:44 a.m. That's more information than any of us really needed, isn't it? And I'm wearing my pink Crocs. I mean, my right buttock is itchier than my left buttock. I mean, what stuff do we really need to hear about? Oh, okay. Vinny wants a treat, but for some reason he's on the settee, happy to clean himself. If I crinkle the thing. Oh, yeah, he's noticed. Do you want a treat? Chewy chicken twists with 100% natural chicken breast meat. Promotes dental hygiene. Good Boy, it's called. And let me say, what is it? He's just looking at me like, who cares what it says on the packet? Just give me it. A complete pet food. Okay. There you go. Good boy. He loves them. Basically. He loves them. I would say it's probably his favourite treat that he's had ever. Sorry about all the noise. The chair's a bit clickery. So he's got that. That'll keep him occupied for about... Occupied? It'll keep him occupied for about 10 minutes, I think. Unlike most other treats which keep him occupied for... Like treats would keep him occupied for maybe 10 seconds. You know, the ones that are edible. The only things that last any amount of time is like a bone thing. And that can keep him going for an hour or two. Well, an hour maybe. An egg, because he likes to break up the eggshell into a million pieces. So, you know, that can keep him going for probably about 20 minutes. I feel like I want to time him now just to see how long it actually takes, but I won't. So I'll briefly tell you about what happened last night, or yesterday, just because the reason... Oh man, I've really got an itch. Oh. Bloody fleas. So I will tell you what happened yesterday, because... I posted yesterday on my Facebook group, which is Jason Newland's boring group. Wasn't able to do Q&A Friday today due to some neighbour drama, but we'll try and do it tomorrow. I'm going to bed, or I'm now going to bed. Now, that wasn't grammatically correct. I didn't put I wasn't able, just wasn't able. The English language is going downhill. The written English language is going downhill, and I understand why, because there's so much stuff we don't need to really put in. Because no one's going to... I put wasn't able to do Q&A Friday. Is there anyone in the world reading that thinking, who wasn't able to? Who's he talking about? Is he talking about Vinny? Is he talking about the milkman? Is he talking about... I don't know, I'm just confused. No, it's me. Obviously, I'm just in the first person. But it isn't, grammatically correct. Yeah. Mike wrote, I hope you update us on a drama in an upcoming episode. I will update you on a drama for this one. In this episode, I will tell you right now, well, in a minute, what happened, because I've also got another message. What is this? Oh, I did get... Oh, blimey. I did get a message, a comment posted on my Facebook group by... And just want to welcome a new member. Now I can't find it. Louisa. Welcome. It says, hi Jason, hi everyone. You've been my Sandman for a couple of years now, and every single night I tell myself, remember to join the Facebook group tomorrow. Then forget the moment I wake up. But here I am. Lately I've been really stressed. I have to leave London and move back to Paris. Thanks, Brexit, and you've helped me unwind and let my mind wander. I haven't subscribed to a YouTube channel yet, but I will soon. But over the years I've built up this whole mental image of your flat, the windows, the garden, the setup, and I'm slightly scared it will clash with my imagination. Are you planning to visit? Are you planning to move in? Don't worry. I'm sure. I don't know if I've actually done... I haven't done much videos of the flat, really. I did a video when I first moved in, when I got the carpet put in. So when I got the carpet laid, yeah, I was quite pleased because everything was immaculate. Really, the whole flat's the only time ever that the flat was immaculate. And since then, because I moved in April 2015, in November, or maybe it was October, I don't know. I think about November time, I got Andre, my little ferret. And from that moment on, the flat was no longer immaculate and hasn't been since. He destroyed the settee that I had, like literally ripped it to bits. He destroyed the carpet. He pretty much destroyed the bottoms of all the doors. He made it his own, and I still love him to bits. So even though he's not around anymore, but I made my impression as well. I mean, it's not like he's the only one. Can't blame him for everything. And then a couple of years ago, I got Vinny, and he's pretty much done the same. Ripped up the carpet and done, just... He's a little dog, and he keeps the place very messy. And it's good because I can blame him, even though probably most of the mess is me. So I'm messy. I'm a bit messy. I'm better off... I mean, I don't have much stuff really, other than the equipment to make the podcasts, a television, and some books. That's pretty much my belongings. I don't have lots and lots of belongings. I don't... so really, I would say it's relatively tidy in here. There's stuff on the floor that needs to be picked up. His toys are all over the floor. The bedroom, there's clothes on the bedroom floor, things like that. So you can help tidy up when you move in. Right, what's next? I did it yesterday. Wow. So I'll admit that I was running behind. I wasn't really feeling it yesterday anyway. I spent a lot of the day in bed. The morning I was relaxing, but I wasn't really, I didn't have much in the way of energy. Okay. I took the little one out for a WALK, and it was, it was fine. Said hello to a couple of people. It was nice enough. Came back, watched a bit of telly, and really just sort of spent a bit of time in bed. In the afternoon, realising that I still hadn't done anything, bearing in mind I've been making 2 to 3 recordings a day for the last week or so. So having not made one recording, I didn't think, did I even make a recording Thursday? I don't think I did. So I've gone right downhill. My work ethic is ridiculously bad. It's terrible. If it was a job. The last recording I did was the 17th of April. So yeah, it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I did do a recording on Thursday, but I did one. But on Wednesday I did 1, 2. But on Tuesday I did 1, 2, 2. Monday 1, 2, 3. So yeah. Wow, Sunday I did 3. Blimey, okay. What, you want another one? That's the last one. That didn't last 10 minutes, did it? He thinks it's his food. And it's not his food. It's not. It's a treat. But he thinks it's his food. He didn't even eat his bowl of food like yesterday afternoon. Anyway, I get a phone call. I'm hearing a bit of commotion in the garden. Not my garden, but a garden nearby. And I don't really know what's going on. There's always a bit of drama around here, people shouting and stuff like that. And then I get a phone call from my friend, a local neighbour. He said, "Can I just pop round and see you?" I said, "Yeah, come round." He didn't seem very happy, but he came round. But his voice didn't seem great, so his voice is fine, but he didn't seem in a good mood. That's what I mean. So anyway, he came round. I'm not going to go into specifics, but he came round and just told me there were some problems he was having. And then later on, I saw a lady outside. Bearing in mind, I was in the middle of watching Big Brother. So I had 2 goals yesterday. Catch up with Big Brother so that I could watch the final, the eviction night, live, having caught up with it. So I'd already watched 1 episode, so I was 2 episodes behind. And I was going to watch Thursday's episode, and I got about 10 minutes into it. So there was still quite a bit, or maybe 15 minutes. There was still quite a lot to go. But I paused it when my friend said he was going to come round, my neighbour. So he came round. And then I'll fast forward a little bit. There was a lady outside the front of my building laying on the pavement. And it was like, okay, what's going on here? So I went and sort of she was unconscious at this point, but she was breathing, like, she was kind of moving around a bit, but there was cans of drink on the floor next to her, like alcoholic drinks. So I'd like, oh, okay. Now this kind of surprised me a little bit. So I called for an ambulance. They said, is she breathing? I said, yeah. What's her name? I don't know what her name is, which I didn't. I did find out later, and they were saying, "Oh, do you know what's wrong with her?" I said, "No, that's why I've called for an ambulance. I really don't know. I just found her. She's lying on the floor, on the pavement, and I'm just concerned that she needs medical help." So when I told them about the cans of alcohol, and I said, she does, I think she might have been drinking, immediately it's almost like they lost interest in the conversation, which was weird, because I was talking to someone who literally was telling, like, usually they're quite attentive and like they take it seriously. This bloke didn't seem to really be interested. As soon as alcohol's involved, he wasn't like, oh well. And I was kind of surprised at that, and I said, yeah, but she's a vulnerable female. She's not able to protect herself. She's not able to really stop anyone doing anything they want to do right now, and no one's helping her. The weird thing is, as I said this, people were starting to stop. It turned out she'd been out there for 3 hours, but she'd been knocking on people's doors, and some of the neighbours were actually keeping an eye out on her. But because she was drunk, they just didn't know what to do with her, They didn't want to let her in their house. And she was given her dad's phone number to different neighbours and stuff. So she had that down in her head. This is a mobile number. She had both her mum and her dad's phone number lodged in her head. So I don't know. I don't know how drunk she could have been if she was able to recall 2 mobile phone numbers. But maybe that's just shows my ignorance. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't know how much of it was like exaggerated. But at the time, I didn't know she was drunk. Yeah, she had some cans, but she might have had. As far as I was concerned, I didn't know. She might have tripped over and hurt herself. She might have had a seizure. She might have. It's all kinds of weird things, Just because someone's been drinking alcohol doesn't mean that they're exempt from medical attention. That's my opinion. So, I mean, yeah, if it's self-inflicted, okay, but lots of things are self-inflicted. Someone driving really rubbishly and speeding, and if they have a crash, ambulance still come. They don't say, "Oh, you were speeding." No, I'm not going to help you, do they? In fact, literal self-inflicted wounds get treated by an ambulance. So, Vinny, stop fidgeting, please, mate. Blimey. He's not even eating all of that treat. So I called an ambulance. I had this weird conversation, and they said, "Is she injured?" So I said, "Are you injured?" Because at this point she had her eyes open, and she nodded yes. I said, "She's nodding yes." "Oh, well, I don't know what we're going to do." The bloke, like, really? I've never had a conversation with someone from the ambulance before. They usually stick to the script. It's almost like he just put the script down and went for a cigarette break, just talking to me while he was on his cigarette break. "Yeah, well, not much we can really do, is there? Like, huh? Really? Well, can you send the police or something? Because she's not in a good way, and she's vulnerable female. Because I realise they're not that bothered about men, so maybe they'll be cared a bit more about women in that situation. But no. And it's weird. And they said, well, call us back, we'll call the police, but whether we don't know if they're going to come or not. If anything worse happens, just call us back. Okay. So then she's laying in the road. She's like half laying in the road. And I'm thinking, well, this is getting more dangerous now, because I was standing in the road with her. I'm the one that pushed her in the road. No, I wasn't. I was standing in there with her to make sure no cars kind of ran her over, because literally there was a car parked just in front. So there's a bend, so it would have been quite easy for a car to drive around the other car, not knowing that she was behind the car. It was kind of a bit of a blind spot, I could imagine, especially if they were driving into park, and they could have hit her potentially. So I stopped. I just stood there to make sure no one did that. And then two neighbours parked up in their cars. It's quite weird. So they were all kind of standing around like, oh, what are you going to do? A bloke stopped with his dog, who was another neighbour, was walking his dog. And which I was glad to have that support, to be honest. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know. And then, so I called the police, and the police are talking to me, and so she's in the road. Can you not get her off the road? I said, I don't want to touch her. She's, as I said before, she's a female, vulnerable. I don't want to be grabbing her. And I understand if it was a motorway, wouldn't have to think about it. But this is a very quiet road, and there's no way anyone was going to hit her because I was stopping it. But she was like, oh, and she was telling me to get away from her. So that in itself wasn't particularly good. And he said, well, have you tried putting your trousers back on and then offering to help? And I said, I'm wearing trousers. What's stupid? And he said, well, we can. that didn't happen. I don't know why I'm saying that. And it went weird after this. That wasn't the weird part. So I step away. She starts getting up. So she's getting up now. And she starts talking to someone else. She goes over to a car and starts trying to open a car door, like pulling on it and hitting the car. Not hard. And I said to the police, I was just trying to get in a car now. That piqued their interest. If it was criminal damage, they'd come to that. So her welfare wasn't particularly important to them, and I don't know why. I guess just because she was drunk or whatever. But the idea that she was maybe hurting a car, like, oh, criminal damage. And they really grabbed hold of that. Oh, so she's trying to get into a car. She's doing, like, yeah, but I told her to get off, and she did. Because it was a neighbour's car. So I said, can you get off? Actually, I said it nicely, but can you leave that alone? And she looked at me and said, that's a neighbour's car, move away. And she did. I said, there's no damage, no harm done. I don't want her to get arrested. I want her to get some help. Well, in the meantime, I'm talking to the police for about 10 minutes. Well, not the police, but the 999. This bloke with a dog he's actually on the phone because she's walked around the bushes and she's fallen down multiple times. And do you ever see a toddler like balancing on a toy? You know, that a toddler in the garden, and they're balancing on a toy, and it's like, oh, they're gonna fall, but they don't. Well, it was a bit like that with this woman, but she actually did fall. She's gonna fall. Oh yeah, she's gone. But she kept getting up. It's like a weeble. You know, weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. I mean, she did fall down, but she did get up again. And I guess I'm the one that wobbles, really, aren't I? Anyway, he got her dad's telephone number. He's on the phone to her dad. He phoned her mum up. Mum didn't want to know. So this is someone that's in I don't know, late 30s, possibly. This lady, maybe even early 40s, middle 30s, early 40s. I don't know, to be fair. Yeah, probably 30s. Because I did see her dad. So he phoned her mum up. Mum didn't want to know. He phoned the dad up, and her dad said, "I'm already on my way." Because it was from London. Like, he's 10 minutes away. That's what he said, he's 10 minutes away. How can it be 10 minutes away from London if you just called him? Well, it turned out that she'd already, the neighbour across the road had already phoned her dad. Because she'd been knocking on everyone's doors. I didn't know this at this point. And it was weird. It was just a strange situation. Prior to that, between the ambulance and the police phone calls, I was saying to her, so where you, I don't know, I was trying to sort of try and get her an ambulance, you know, sort of say to her, and she started swearing at me and being abusive to me verbally. Wasn't abusive to anyone else, just me for some reason, and telling me to go whatever to my dad and whatever to my mum, and like, okay, you're not helping yourself here. You know, I was trying to help. And she said, oh, I said, where are you from? She said, oh, Stratford. I said, well, I know Stratford, and you wouldn't get away with this behaviour there. You know, this you would not get away. You would not. This would be a very dangerous situation for you if you did this in Stratford. And she was like, ugh. And I was losing a bit of sympathy. I understand, I suppose, why the police and ambulance, they get so much hassle when they go to people that were drunk, trying to help someone that won't let you help them. So I do understand that. I just, at the same time, I can't ignore someone that's lying on the floor, can't even hardly walk. She couldn't walk. That puts her in such a dangerous situation, which it would do if it was a man. It would make no difference to me, man or woman. I can't really ignore it, I don't think. Or I can't. So it turned out, so this was 4:30. I finally, after all the stuff, I finally got back up here. Just, yeah, the police, I didn't realise I'd had it was about 6:10, or 6:20, I was back upstairs. So, I mean, the whole thing didn't start at 4:30, but probably 5 o'clock, I don't know. I lose track of the timing. So we were probably out there for about an hour. And I had 2 missed calls from the police. I got a text from the police just after, I think it was, I can tell you actually. What's this guy doing Q&A Friday? I don't know. This was at, how weird. Doesn't give me a time for the texts. I thought texts had times. Yesterday, 18:03. This is the clinical assessment service of East Anglia ambulance service. We have attempted to contact with phone. I've been honest. We have made. If there's been any worsening of the patient's condition, please ring 999. So I didn't have my phone switched on. It was on, but it wasn't on. If the volume wasn't on, then if it was on, I didn't hear it. But I think I might want to add it on mute. Just I forgot, because I thought I got it on mute most of the time. Oh dear. Normally I wouldn't do that if I didn't purposely do that. But I got a couple of emails, one saying, we are continuing to arrange help. This was probably about half an hour later, or an hour later actually. A clinician may call you back from a withheld number. Please keep your phone line clear. Only call 999 again if the patient's condition worsens. Alternatively, should you no longer require help, please reply cancel. So I just sent a cancel. I thought that was it. They weren't bothering. But they didn't tell me that the ambulance was still planning to come. But it wasn't a priority, which is fair enough. They've got their criteria, and when I called them, I didn't know if it's a priority or not. Unfortunately, I've had to call the ambulance and the police so many times since I've lived there. And I've been in this situation before, like with my neighbour downstairs, the one directly below me. Trina, her name was. I say was because she passed away, but she was only young. She's only a little bit older than me, about a year older than me or something. And this was 2019 or 2020, right at the beginning of the year. She basically, her mum knocked on the door and she wasn't answering, and I heard her mum banging on the windows, like the bedroom windows out the back. So I went downstairs because I saw this woman, and I thought, what's going on there? I just checked that she was all right, because it seemed like a weird thing to be doing. Didn't look like a thief, but I thought I'd just go and check it out. And I said, are you all right? She said, yeah, I'm trying to get hold of my daughter. She's in there, but she's not. She should be in there because she arranged to pick her up. I think she had a doctor's appointment or something. And I said, oh, okay. And then she said, well, no, I can hear her, she's in there, but I can't see where she is. She's not answering the door. Well, then she goes and she starts talking through the letterbox to her. And it turns out she owed her money and she just didn't want to pay it. No, that's not true. She'd collapsed. She was on the floor, collapsed. And she'd been like that for days, apparently. So she was able to talk to her mum, but wasn't able to move. Right? There was no way of getting into the flat. Couldn't get into the flat. Well, I couldn't get into the flat. Luckily, I know some people that do know how to do stuff like that. Not luckily for the neighbours that get robbed, but yeah, I know people that know how to get into flats very quickly. So I got my local break-in service. Wow, it's really weird. I know if I ever lock myself out properly and I can't get a locksmith or whatever, a ladder. That's all I need. A ladder. Even if all the windows are locked, I know someone can get through the windows in probably like 30 seconds. It's just like, and they won't have to be quiet either, so probably even quicker, because I'll be with them. If they had to do it quietly, it's like, yeah, it's strange. It's just a weird situation. But anyway, I said, you need to call an ambulance, and she said, no, my daughter will be here in a minute. She'll know what to do, because her other daughter was coming. She'd called her, and I said, I got angry, but it was like, you need to call an ambulance. She's lying on the floor and she can't move. That is not a good sign. I mean, I'm no doctor, but I can conclude. I can conclude that's not a good sign, and I was correct, and I wish I hadn't been correct. So I called an ambulance, and the ambulance said, 45 minutes. And I said, what? He said, yeah, 45 minutes. That's it. I said, she's lying on the floor, she can't move. No, it'd be 45 minutes. Now, the ambulances are brilliant, and I'm not saying anything about ambulances or police or anything. They've always been, pretty much been great, and I'm grateful. Ambulance services saved my friend's life multiple times. So yeah, it's not. But I was just surprised at this. So I went. This is a few years back. And it's not their fault anyway. They can't be everywhere all at once. Even Superman can't be everywhere, can they? Can he? It's like, remember Superman the movie, the first one? I don't want to spoil it. I mean, it's 50 years ago and since it came out. Is it too soon to tell you what happened? But I think, was it Superman 1 or was it there was, I don't know, if it was a superhero movie where there was two missiles being sent at the same time. Yeah, it was two. It was Superman. So again, if you haven't seen it and you don't want to spoil it, the movie that was released in 1975, or was it 1977? But it's nearly 50 years ago. Lex Luthor launched two nuclear missiles, or two missiles, like really bad ones. So Superman couldn't, and they were different areas. Superman couldn't get to both of them, so he had to choose one. He got to it and got rid of it, and he nearly got to the second one, I do believe, but he didn't get there in time. And for some reason, I mean, maybe it was just to fit the plot of the movie, but Lois Lane, or Lois Lane, who was the love of his life, but was she? What about Lana Lang? The movies never really dealt with Lana Lang. The more recent TV show did, but it was always like Clark Kent loves LL. Is it Lois Lane, or is it Lois Lane, or is it Lana Lang? LL. Who do you love, Clark? I love LL. So it's, it was always that, really. I mean, in the movies, it was always Lois Lane, but he had a thing for, Lana Lang as well. And for some reason, Lois, I can't speak like that. Lois Lane. The other missile pretty much landed on her head, so it caused this big, catastrophic thing or whatever in the desert. She happened to be there. I think he chose the other one because it was going towards a city, opposed to the one that was going towards a desert. And he finds her and he's like, oh, it's Lois Lane, and she's not survived, and it's very sad. And he cries, and he then flies around the world lots of times and turns back time. It's very good. Why am I talking about Superman? Oh yeah, the ambulance, they can't be everywhere. I mean, there's a lot more of them than there is a Superman. But at the same time, I'm so grateful that we've got an ambulance service, that we've got an NHS here, that we've got a police service, fire service. I am. I'm grateful we've got people that come and collect the rubbish, people that deliver the mail. I'm grateful for that. I don't always feel the gratitude, but generally I am grateful. So, Yeah, my neighbour downstairs. I phoned the police. No, I phoned the fire service next, and I said, "Hello, I don't know if you can help me. Um, my neighbour's on the floor downstairs. She's collapsed. She can't move, but she's locked out. I didn't know if there's any way you can get into the place. You know, the front door's locked, solid, and we can't get in, and the ambulance will be here in about 45 minutes. And they said, what do you expect us to do? And I'm like, okay. It was one of those, like, yeah, I know I need a locksmith, obviously, but I just thought maybe in a situation like that, they could come and remove the door in an emergency. It seemed like an emergency. It was an emergency. In fact, it was much more serious than realised. I just assumed it was, but no one else did for some reason. And then I called up the police, and again they said, "What do you want us to do about it? What do you expect us to do about it?" I mean, literally those words, which I was a little bit surprised about. I said, "Well, she's locked. We can't get in there. The ambulance said they're going to be 45 minutes." And they said, "Well," I said, "Yeah, but I think she's had a heart attack." And they said, "Oh, okay." 5 minutes later, the ambulance was here. And in that 5 minutes, I asked my friend to get into the flat, and he did. He didn't go in. He removed the window from the bathroom or the kitchen. I think it was the bathroom window. He removed that in seconds. And just as he had removed that, her sister turned up, who was actually able to fit through the window. And just as she was pretty much climbing through the window, the ambulance turned up. So she came in, she opened the door from the inside. The ambulance went in there. We were in there for about half an hour. Took her into the ambulance. The paramedics rather, took her into the ambulance, and they were working on her in the ambulance for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then they took her to the hospital, and she died 2 days later. Now, I'm not saying this is a sad story, although it is a sad story. But the fact is, she had a heart attack, and she had another one in the ambulance. So there was part of me feeling guilty, like, am I lying, saying that she's had a heart attack? But I didn't say she had. I said, I think she's had a... When I actually did believe that. And I was right. I just couldn't figure any other reason why she would be lying on the floor for a couple of days, unable to move, unless there was something really seriously had happened internally, outside of like a fall or something like that. But apparently she wasn't injured, wasn't physically like whatever. She hadn't broken a hip or anything, according to her mum. She just couldn't move. So I don't even know why I'm talking about this. I talked about it when it happened, but it's just give you an idea of the kind of stuff that happens around here. And eventually yesterday, this lady, she got into her dad turned up. He said, right, she wouldn't get up. He couldn't pick her up on his own. He called his wife over, or his girlfriend over, and he shouted, "Oi, Doris," I don't know what her name was, "can you come here, please? Can you bring the camera as well, so we can take another picture for the photo album, for the family photo album?" And then he was going on. It's like he's had years of this since she was a kid, and he looked drained. He looked so much... I don't know. I got no idea what the background is behind the whole thing, but there was no winners, that's for sure. And it's weird because I felt relief as he drove off. but at the same time I knew that the journey was nowhere near ending for him or for her. And, you know, it was over for me. I had a degree of relief. I still wasn't quite there, but it completely shattered me dealing with all the different people. So I kind of felt for him, but I felt for her as well, because, you know, it's addiction, isn't it? It's a horrible, horrible thing, and I've had to deal with it with lots of different people for a long time, actually, over the years. For a good old 20 years, really, I've dealt with my own issues and other people's issues. I had a little bit of a fling with alcohol when I was younger, but yeah, it was very strange. And then my other neighbour was a bit freaked out about some stuff, and I just ended up 10 to 9, I think, after taking him out, or maybe 5 to 9, I got home after sort of doing some other stuff. And then by the time I'd cooked some tea cakes, because I was hungry, the Big Brother live episode was 7 minutes in. So I couldn't watch yesterday's episode to see. I didn't even know who was evicted until, like, I watched the live show. It just ruined it, you know, ruined the whole. I know it shouldn't all be about a TV show, but for me, this is what I enjoy. So that's why I'm late doing a Q&A Friday, and it took me, what, an hour to tell you that? Oh my goodness. It really did take me nearly 50 minutes to tell you that. I'm sorry. I'm going to do a Q&A Friday now. Blimey. Wow. This is what happens. This is how things work here. So I sometimes go on a bit. I've also got a YouTube channel, by the way, at Jason Newland, and it's a weird thing because it's just weird, because I've been uploading the latest recordings, all 6, and I don't think it's really working so well, but hey, oh well. So, questions. Do I have any questions? Well, yes, I do. I put a little form on my website that you can fill in if you've got questions for Q&A Friday, and I've had a few people fill it in this week, so I'm just checking. So Q&A Friday, where is it? I saved them in a folder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. This might be the longest Q&A Friday in history, by the way. I'm going to go by order. If I miss any out, I will answer them next week, okay? So I don't want this to be like 3 hours long. I've got things to do. So the first question is from Anne. If you don't mind me asking, I was wondering how old Andre was when he passed. He was about 6.5. The reason, what happened basically, he had spine injury. A little kid trod on him a year earlier, like probably stomped on him, and you know, it wasn't anyone's fault. It was a little kid. It wasn't like a kid that knew what he was doing. It's like a little toddler, really. Well, like 3 years old, 4 years old, and he just stomped on him. And at the time, Andre seemed like he was just angry. I picked him up and he clung to me, but at the same time he wanted to have a fight with his kid. I thought nothing of it really. I thought, well, I didn't like it, but the mum was so apologetic, and basically she called me over. Can my little boy have a little look? Sort of say hello to your ferret. And I'd spoken to her numerous times. She's a very friendly person. I still speak to her husband. I don't see her anymore, but I see her husband regularly walking the dogs. He's also really friendly. But the kid, we were just talking, and the kid, it happened so quick. I saw it in the peripheral, and you see his leg raise and Andre scream. Anyway, thought nothing of it really. She was like apologetic, like, it's not your fault. We didn't know this was going to happen. And the next day, Vinny was struggling to walk. No, Vinny, I keep saying Vinny. Andre was struggling to walk. And he couldn't walk. He was limping really badly. And I left it a day because I thought, see how I am. I didn't even connect the two. That's how slow I am sometimes. Didn't even connect it. And until I took him to the vets, and the vet said they did an x-ray on his back. They said he's got spinal injury. Like he's been trod on. I was like, oh, okay. I said, yeah, a kid did stomp on him, trod on him on purpose. I said, okay, that would do it. And I said, what now then? He said, well, in these cases, quite often, especially with ferrets, I mean, they're prone to have this kind of thing because they're so bendy. If you take that flexibility away from them, it kind of ruins their life really, because they're so bendy. And once you take that away, it's, quality's not great. The weird thing about it, he nearly passed. Now this is going to say I'm just talking about death on this one, but he nearly died with the anaesthetic that he had to have the X-ray, because he wouldn't stand still or sit still for a second. And I wasn't allowed to hold him because this is during the old mask covering it period, if you remember that. So I couldn't be in the vets, couldn't even be inside the building. I had to stand in the car park. I had to hand over the bag with him in it to the receptionist or to the vet, who had a mask on. I had a mask on. I was standing outside. He put his long arm. I couldn't believe how long his arm was. It was about like 18 foot long. And he picked it up, and he took the bag in, and I had to wait for him to... I think he phoned me to let me know how he was getting on. And I had to pick him up the next day because he was really groggy with the whole anaesthetic, and they didn't know what to do because he wasn't coming back, wasn't to being fully aware. Well, in the end, I came and got him, took him home, and it took about a day or so, 2 days, I think, before he was normal again. He's just lying there, just looking at me. It was weird, like he was drunk or something. There wasn't really much they could do, but he recovered. I got videos of him limping around, and then a video of him. He still wanted to go for a walk, still wanted to do everything as before, and eventually he got it back. His leg was fine, or his spine was fine, and his mobility was perfect. So I thought. And then a year later, for no reason other than just the injury, I guess, that it got worse, and he was limping again, and there was more going on this time. And we were still in the mask episode, but this time I was allowed inside the veterinary reception, but I wasn't allowed to be in. No, I was allowed to go in there with him, but we still, everyone still had to wear a mask and stuff. So this was like 2021, I think. And he just said he had another X-ray. He said that the spine's gone. Like, it was just it was so damaged from before that it didn't heal properly, but it healed enough for him to, because they're very determined, old ferrets are. They don't care. They won't let anything get in their way. But he wasn't eating, and that's a sign that he was in pain, and there was no option really. Yeah. So that was it. That was 6.5 years ago. Well, it was the end. It was like June 2021. It wasn't 6.5 years ago, but I think it was about 6.5 years when I got him, when he passed away. Yeah. So I would try and lighten it up if I can. Jace, this is from Maria. Hi Jason, what's the longest time you ever lived in one place? Are there any fond childhood memories that you can recall? Thank you. Oh, I can't think of any childhood memories. So the longest time I ever lived in one place is here. This place. I never lived anywhere for 10 years before. The second longest place was, I guess, like the family home would call it, that I lived for between the ages of 9 and 15. So what's that? 9 and 15? It's not that long, is it really? 6 years. Wow. It seemed like forever, but then I was young. So yeah, the second longest place was 6 years. I did live at a couple of places for about 4 years each. When I first moved to Stratford from 91 to 94, well, 3.5 years. So I spent 3.5 years living in that room. There was another room in Stratford where I moved in, was it probably about June 1997. I moved out the summer 2001. So yeah, that's 4. I was there for about 4 years. I got evicted from there. And when I was at university, I stayed in a room from November 2007, and I moved out, I suppose, like March 2011. 2011, yeah. So what's that? 2007 November, 2008, 2009, 2010. So again, that's 3 years and probably 3 months. Yeah, I mean, I lived at the YMCA from September 2001 until about March 2004, but I lived in 3 different studio apartments there, or studio flats, so I didn't stay in the same place, but I moved around because I just started trying to find somewhere quiet. But, you know, technically in the same, well, not technically, I was literally in the same building. It was a very big building. From September 2001, 2002, 2003. So that's 2 years and for 2.5 years, I suppose, I was living there. It seemed a lot longer at the time. No, yes, no. Blimey. See, weird, because if I'd have stayed there, I would have been shortlisted to get a council flat. It's not why I moved in there. I moved in there because it's the only place I could find anywhere to live. When I moved from London, because I had a job to start and I could not find anywhere, a room or anything. And they basically, I phoned them up. I had a friend say, well, try the YMCA. So I did, and they said, yeah, we've got a place for you. If you want it, come and have a look tomorrow, or Monday, or whenever. Yeah, because I think this is on a Saturday. And they said, yeah, if you want to come Monday and have a look. Like, really? I said, yeah. Because at the time I was staying in a bed and breakfast, because I just started the job. September, I think it was the 9th. I think September the 9th, 2001. It was a Monday, I think. And I stayed in a bed and breakfast. I moved in on a Sunday. Stayed in a bed and breakfast. I was still I was DJing in London, so I still had my weekend hobby as a DJ. I didn't want to give that up, but I had to. But luckily, I had 3 weeks where I could still do it. And then I had to give it up because I was moving away. But at this point, what I was doing is going to London, staying over in London, and then coming back Sunday evening. So I think I did 2 weeks in the bed and breakfast. But it was expensive, you know. I will learn to speak one day. I hadn't earned any money yet, because I'd only done 2 weeks of work. So I'm not quite sure how I got by, but I did. Stop moaning, Vinny. You're like, why can't the sounds you make me feel nice? That, like, it winds me up, because it's just like he's never satisfied, are you? You're never satisfied. Well, no treat. But yeah, that whining just grates on me a little bit sometimes. It's like, come on. It's just like, oh, I wish they could talk so I could really know what he's talking about. And he's probably thinking, you know, I just want to. Every time I go up to my daddy and I just want to talk about and ask him about his day, he sticks a treat in my mouth. I don't even want a treat. Don't even like them. I eat them just to please him. Yeah, okay. That's not likely, is it? So yeah, I'm trying to think. Are there any fond childhood memories that you can recall? I mean, yeah, I'm sure there was loads. Recalling them is another thing. I mean, Christmases were always good. Like during the period between the ages of 7 and 14. Things even 15, but things had got a bit stressed at home by then. But during that period, Christmases were brilliant. So every Christmas was great, pretty much, when I was a kid, between the ages of 7 and 14. Every Christmas. Unless I'm forgetting stuff, but generally I don't have. I suppose when I got a bike, that was cool, because it was the only time I really got something. I was always happy what I got. That's the one thing about my parents at the time. Very generous when it came to Christmas and birthdays and stuff like that. It can't be. No way can they be faulted for that. They were so generous. I had multiple presents, loads and loads and loads. So it was brilliant. but only once did I. You know that there's, I don't know, maybe it's the same for all kids. There's that one present as a kid that you want. You want Father Christmas to bring you. And mine did. I did get that, and it was a bike. It was a racer. And I was probably 13 at the time. I had a paper round and I needed a bike to get me around because it was taking me so long. And I was, I got my bike for Christmas. It was brilliant. I was very, very pleased. Best present I ever had. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so that was always good. I used to like going to the library on my own. That was nice. When I discovered the library became kind of like a second home for me. I just loved it. Loved going in there, reading the books, sitting down, reading the books, going through every single book on the shelf, having a little dip, you know. That sounded weird, but you know what I mean, dipping in, having a little read. There was a part upstairs, there was this, I don't know, like partition thing upstairs where there was these kind of like encyclopedias, and there was big tables, so I suppose the research area maybe they would call it. And I went through a period when I was researching things. I was very interested in, I don't want to say the occult because that sounds a bit bad, but I was really interested in werewolves and witches and vampires and all that stuff. It just fascinated me. I was interested in UFOs, and I'd literally go in and I would do my own research on a subject. So I researched vampires and Dracula and Vlad the Impaler, and I researched it. I went through all the different books and I copied out what they wrote into my own pads. Just for me. It was not for, you wouldn't find me doing homework at all. But this, there was no reason for it. I just got obsessed. So that's what I did. That was brilliant. I spent hours doing that. I'd love that. And I'd have maybe 3 or 4, 5 big massive textbooks out, and I'd just be looking at all the different pictures, and loved it. Absolutely loved it. And reading, I think my favourite bit was when none of the family were around. When I could just be, I didn't mind obviously if they were around, but not around me, so I could be left on my own, quiet. One of my favourite things to do, and I'm thinking back when I was like maybe 10, 11, 10, probably about 10, I would lie down on my, I'd lie down on the bed and I'd listen to classical music. There was an album which was basically a lot of really, really big movie scores. There's what was that? Do $1 million, a fistful of $1 million or whatever. And there was the probably Star Wars and Superman, definitely Superman, because they had the long version where Lois Lane is actually talking in the song, and it's the bit where they're singing. No, it's the bit where they're. There's some music from Superman where she's flying with him, or he's holding her and flying with her, and it's like a romantic one. And there's a song, yeah, it's a really nice song. But anyway, I used to do that. I used to just lay down on my back, listen to the music, and relax. When I was about 10. So that was a nice memory. Every time we visited my uncle Terry, that was a nice memory, because he was so brilliant. It was just lovely. It was lovely. I mean, yeah, he had money, but that wasn't the reason he was lovely. He was just lovely. Best uncle you could wish for. So I visited him a few times, a couple of times when I was a bit older, when I was like in my teens, and he always treated me with respect, always treated me like a human, but didn't talk down to me, didn't treat me like I was a kid. And he showed interest. And it was like almost like I was an equal, in a way, in a weird way. And he was fairly well off. He was wealthy, he owned his own shipping company. This is back in Dover. So he was, he was well off, lived in a really large house on the beach, in Deal or something, Kent, Deal, whatever. It was so lovely though. And someone said to me, "Oh yeah, it's easy to be nice if you're rich." Like, I don't think it's that simple. It's not. It's a very simple way to look at it. There's nothing wrong with being wealthy. And I've met plenty of people that weren't so nice when they were wealthy, and I've met lots of people that were really nice when they had no money. But I've also met really unpleasant people that had no money as well. I think it's down to the personality, not what's in their bank account. I'm guessing. That's just my personal take on it. But it was lovely, and it can't be changed, those memories. And I think the fact that he left me to do what I wanted to do. By that I don't mean I was left on my own, but he just, like, if I wanted to go into a different room and watch movies on my own, I could. And that was quite nice, because I didn't really get to do that like at home, because there were so many of us. So I think any time my family wasn't around, I was kind of happier. I think it was just crowd, too many people, constant arguing between my brothers and me. They'd bring me into it as well. I'd probably argue more with my middle brother than with my oldest brother, but then he would probably they would argue amongst themselves more as well. It's like the age, because there was 2 years between me and my middle brother. There was 2 years between my middle brother and my oldest brother. But that 4-year gap meant that we weren't really very different in age, so we didn't have so much to argue about. And then my little brother was 8 years younger than me, so no one really argued with him until he got to about probably 5 or 6, and then he was a bit of a little ruffian. Yeah, so what memories? See, one of my fondest memories, and it's going to be weird for anyone that from the UK that knows the person I'm mentioning, but my school, and I think it was 1979, maybe 1980, my school was on the Rolf Harris show, and we rehearsed for months before that, before the filming. At the time, Rolf Harris was super famous in his country, and he'd travel around different schools, and they'd be singing and dancing and all that stuff. The thing is, it wasn't filmed in the schools. They had their own studio that they filmed it in. But it was a school, looked like a school, and it probably was a school, to be fair, but it was, maybe they used it during the summertime, but they'd make out it was the school, you know, the actual school. That makes sense, the school that they were visiting. So it wasn't just the whole day, the travelling, with all the kids, because, you know, the whole school went. It wasn't just like 1 year, so there's probably, I don't know how many coachfuls of kids there was. We were all, the rehearsing bit was really fun. So there's a lot of singing, a lot of dancing, you know. I say 6 months, maybe it was 3 months leading up to it, but it seemed like quite a long time. And I think Rolf Harris came round and saw us first at the school to announce that he was going to be having us on his show, and it was one of the biggest shows on Saturday night TV, early TV, and you know, he did a different school each week, so it was exciting. The build-up was exciting. The actual event was brilliant. I was on camera quite a few times, and I said I was like 9 or 10. I'm not sure exactly the exact year. It was either 1979 or 1980. It could be 81, because I would have been 10 in 81. Yes, so maybe it was 81. I think it was 1980. I think. It was brilliant. Absolutely one of the best days of my childhood. So yeah, I mean, Rolf Harris is no longer around, and things didn't go quite so well with him in his career, but it doesn't take away the fact that that was one of the highlights of my childhood, positive highlights. What else? Fond childhood memories that I can recall. There was a period when my dad was in a good mood. I don't quite know why, but I remember coming home from school. So I was a teenager at this point, so I would have been probably 13, maybe 12, 13. And I don't know what it is. There was this little period when he was buying stuff, so he bought a new computer. And even though I had no interest in computers back then, the fact that everyone was happy was nice. My dad was excited, my brothers were excited, my middle brother was more excited than anyone about the computer, and he was learning to code and all kinds of stuff. But it was just it was nice, because it was a nice atmosphere. So that happened a few times, those kinds of things. Yeah, I did. I'm never really. I don't think I ever really felt like I am superstitious, but I tried to do the exact same walk and tried to do everything the same as I did that day. On the same day of the week, to see if I get the same result. So I got home and things were nice. It's weird. I'd be like looking at the floor. Okay, which bit did I walk on? How did I feel? What was I listening to? Just really trying to focus on getting into that zone of. If I could get into the same zone, the same mindset, feeling exactly the same way as I did the day when I got home and the computer was there and he was in a good mood and everyone was like happy. Perhaps if I could get into that, then the same would happen again. Not a new computer, but just it'd be the same vibe. And yeah, that's what I used to try and do. One of my happy memories, I think, when I was a kid, Saturday evenings was nice. Quite often, we'd all sit down, watch TV. When I was really young, I would lay on my front watching TV. I'd be on the floor. Then when I got a bit older, I was told I couldn't because my bum was too big. No one could see the TV. That's not true. Don't know why I said it. And so we'd all have our dressing gowns on. We'd have eaten our dinner, which was usually like in the evening, like a snack, kind of like crisps, the buffet kind of thing that we'd have. So that was nice. Then we'd watch TV, or like TV shows early evening, and I'd probably be in bed at 8 or whatever time, I don't know. But I'd have a dressing gown on, get a bag of sweets, which is cool. So yeah, those were nice. And then there was the period when, because we didn't always do it, but there was a period when we had, we used to get videos. Not every week, but when we did get videos, we'd get like 4 movies, maybe on a Friday night, maybe Saturday night, and we'd be able to keep it for the weekend and take it back on the Sunday or the Monday or something like that. This is like early days of the video tape cassette, and that used to be brilliant, going down to the video shop. We'd all go down together and try and choose some movies together, and yeah, great. Yeah, I think we were allowed to take it back Monday, so what we did is we took it back. So we'd rent, or was it Sunday afternoon? So my dad would take us up there in the car and we'd get the stuff, and then one of us or a couple of us would walk back and take the tapes back, so it was down the seafront. It's probably about 30-40 minute walk, unless it was Monday we had to take it back. It's not really that relevant, but yeah, that was cool. That was nice. I liked that. I used to look forward to that. Childhood memories. Probably some of my favourite childhood memories was when I got my first television. And I was 14, and it was a black and white portable TV. And it was the first time that I had any kind of say over what I watched, outside of being in the living room on my own. You know, because there's stuff I used to be able to watch when I was a kid that no one else watched, like Grange Hill. My little brother was too young to watch it, and both my older brothers were too old to watch it. So there was a time when I had the TV to myself for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes, you know, when I was around about the maybe 12 mark. I'd watch Grange Hill, for example. My brothers were too old. They wouldn't watch that no more. I remember watching Mr. Merlin. But then there was a period when my little brother was old enough, we used to watch cartoons together. So things like Musker Hounds, what other ones? Ooh, Danger Mouse, Mighty Mouse, Scooby-Doo, the Muppet Babies. So this is something, I don't think my little brother even remembered this, but there was a film. I sent him a birthday card with it once on it, and I don't think he remembered. I had to point out what it was. And it was a movie called Animal Olympics. He watched it over and over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, probably hundreds of times. That was his favourite movie. He just loved watching it. I'm not sure how much he understood what was going on, because he was little, really little, but he loved watching it. And I sent him a birthday card a couple of years back with like an image from that, and he didn't know what it was, I don't think. I should tell him one day. Why are you hassling me, Vinny? You want another treat, yeah? Is this what it is? Is this what we're doing? You're just feeding. Food. Right, I'll put it on there. I'll see if he oh, yeah. When he really wants something, I could put it on the chandelier, like I've got a chandelier, but I could put it like high up on the ceiling and it'd still get to it. Any other childhood memories? There probably are a few. Can't really think of anything right now. Yeah, just a few little bits every now and then. Having my appendix out, that's one of the best memories of my life. That was brilliant, being in hospital. Again, I think partly because I was away from the family, it was a bit of peace and quiet, really. Yeah, I loved that. That was brilliant. Another time would be... I had it in my mind just now and it's gone. Oh, that's weird, my stomach. Oh yeah, chicken pox. Loved having chicken pox because I didn't have to go to school. Oh, it was brilliant. And it was snowing outside, so I was there. Basically, I think my oldest brother got it first. We all kind of took turns getting it, so it was only, I think it was the point where I had to stay home because too many of my family had it. So I got like 2 weeks off school, I think, because I had to be contaminated, or whatever they call it, contained. And I did get it, and it was brilliant. It was so cool to not have to go to school. I mean, that's one of the benefits of having the appendix out. Didn't have to go to school for a couple of weeks. Didn't have to go to school with the old chicken pox. I just remember sitting indoors, drawing and things like that. It was snowing outside, maybe a bit of music playing, I don't know. The whole family was in, but everyone was quite chilled out. We were just enjoying it. Yeah, that was nice. Basically illness, anything that involved illness. I wasn't ill with it. I wasn't ill with chickenpox. I mean, I got it. I had the blotches, bit itchy. That's it. It wasn't nothing for me. It wasn't being ill. And appendicitis, I didn't really have it. I don't think I had appendicitis. I was trying to get off school, so I kept using the thing about having a stomach ache. And I did have a stomach ache, but I don't know if it was appendicitis. I think it might have been grumbling appendix or something. But they took it out anyway, which was a win-win situation for me. It was just great. I mean, I was thinking at this rate, I'm going to run out of body parts, because I was trying to work out what else can I have removed to get another 2 weeks off school. But it didn't come to that. Other things, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. There's a few bits and bobs. That's a few of them anyway. So, Georgie asks, "Do you have a hidden talent?" I don't even have any on show. Never mind any hidden ones. I ain't got no talents. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. I used to think I could sing, and I think I could when I was younger. Maybe everything's when I was younger, really, isn't it? But I used to think I could sing, and I think I could. Now, not so much. But hidden talents, I can be annoying. It's not so hidden, is it? No, I don't think there is. I can't. No. There's nothing really. I don't think there's anything that I can do that would surprise anybody. I'm just trying to think. Vinny, I can see in my peripheral begging. Begging, I tell you, you're begging again. Stop begging. Do you ever see it on TV or movies where they're showing someone's doing something and the person, like the star of the show, can't see them doing it, but it's literally in their peripheral? There's no way you would not see that person moving around to the side of you, but they don't, because it's a movie. It's like, wait a minute, even the actor can see that person. Like, I can see Vinny, I'm not looking at him, but I can see him moving around and doing his little, I haven't eaten for 1,000 years. My daddy never gives me anything. You know. Not Tom Sawyer, what is it? The little kid. Tom. Please, sir, can I have some more? Oliver Twist, that's it. So I looked at him. As soon as I saw him, I thought, yeah, Oliver Twist. Oliver, I'm going to call you Oliver now. I'm going to call you Oliver Twist. And you've got some food on your mouth. Clean up after yourself. Oh, the other day, I know I talked about it, but I still can't believe that I went out and I had a little bit of chocolate and the toffee was all over my beard from the bit of chocolate I had. And I went out, took him out. I was talking to different people. I was talking to 2 people when I got back as well. Not one person mentioned the fact that I had this. I know it was stretched out as well. It wasn't like just a little bit. Why didn't anyone mention it? It was just... I don't have any hidden talents, I don't think. I really... I used to write poems. I used to write songs. But again, not something I would call talents. I suppose things that I wanted to do, the poems were more just as an expression, to be fair. The songs, that was more to do with romance. I was trying to be romantic. You know, it's a long time ago. No, I can't think of any. Maybe I do, but they're hidden. They must be hidden, very, very well hidden, because I don't really... No, I don't think I have any. But then, you know, if they're hidden, I wouldn't know. In a sense, I know you're talking about, have I got any hidden talents that I kind of don't tell anyone about? But I don't think I have. But you know, I do believe that we've all got hidden talents that maybe we never find out about. You know, not just one thing, multiple things that, you know, I might be, or you might be really, really good at something that you've never even attempted to do, but because you've got no interest in it. Yet if you did have a go at it and you realised that you were naturally gifted, I'm guessing that would make you interested in it. Oh, okay, I do have a talent. It's not hidden so much. I am very good on the phone. And I was very good at sales. But I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the pressure or the stress. So yeah, and I was very good at listening. I'm good at listening. My job, apart from being a counsellor and stuff, later on, I did have a job where my whole job was listening to phone calls and making sure that the people, the staff calls, that they were doing their job properly, and they were sticking to the script. And I had to mark these calls, and I'd say I was pretty good at that. But I don't know if that's much of a hidden talent. Being pedantic, really, isn't it? I don't know I mean, literally, my job was being pedantic, being quite inflexible. So yeah, I got a hidden talent. I'm very inflexible, but that's not so hidden, I don't think. If you ask me that question again a different day, I will be thinking about that. It's quite weird because Georgie, I used to know someone called Georgia, and I was dreaming about her last night. It's really weird. I had some very, very strange dreams last night, and I had this conversation with this female that I used to work with, and I had this thing. I never ever dated waitresses that I worked with, just basically because I kind of did nearly once, and it was awkward. So I thought, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And because you got to work with them. If it doesn't work out, that's awkward. So there was this one waitress who I really liked as a friend, just really liked her. And she started giving me some hints that maybe she liked me in a more, a more, I don't know if romance is the right word, but in a more physical way, and sort of telling me stuff, whatever. And she gave me 3 really massive hints over time. 3 different occasions. Once she danced with me, and another time she told me some things that she liked, and on the 3rd time she told me, I'm not going to use the words, but it was on the leave-in do. She said, you like, I'm going to say blank, and I've got blank, and I still didn't take the hint. Because I was just nervous. I just didn't know. I felt like I was being watched by the other people in the room, and I didn't know really what to do. So I didn't pursue. Which I kind of regret. And even now I dream about her. Really weird. I mean, literally last night. But over the years, and it's 24 years ago. So it's way too long to be. And it didn't seem to bother me at the time. But I was conversing with her, explaining to her. So I just apologised and saying, I wish I'd kind of done something and we didn't, blah, 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 blah. It's weird, very weird. Hillary asked me, okay, let's try again. Where in Thailand did you go? I've been there many times to many different parts, just interested where you went. So I went near Bangkok, and it's, I suppose I don't go into great detail about where I've been. I don't want to be judged because where I went is a little bit of a, I think it's classed as, some of it's like sex tourist, and I wasn't that. It wasn't for that reason. I was just going because it's a Buddhist country, and I needed to get away. I was talking to a friend about this. After I lost Andre, I started going back, and my panic attacks came back. Not like the occasional one or the standard kind of stuff that I have, but really became really bad again. And I think part of that, because I lost Andre, I no longer had the emotional I mean, what Vinny gives me and what Andre gave me is emotional support, I suppose, really, in reality. It's emotional support. It's an emotional pet or emotional whatever. And so I was up here on my own, and I was also dealing with all the drama of downstairs and my neighbour and all that came with that, and it got too much. So I managed to go away, and I just basically chose the first place, because I'd done a bit of research, gone on YouTube, and every time I put in Thailand, there was like Pattaya came up, and Phuket, Bangkok, those kinds of areas. So I thought, yeah, I'll head there. That's what I did. So I just went there and just found somewhere to stay, and yeah, it was all right. The first time I went twice. The second time it was rainy season, so that wasn't so good. At the moment they've got Sangron. I think it's just come to an end, where they just basically 2 weeks of covering each other with water. It's like a New Year. I think it's like the Thailand New Year celebration. Songran or Songran. I wouldn't want to be there during that. Something I noticed about myself is weird. Even though I was technically on holiday, the bipolar didn't stay at home. It's weird. Honestly, I thought in my mind, bearing in mind that I hadn't really been anywhere since 2003 was the last time I'd really gone anywhere like on my own on holiday. So that's 20 years or whatever, nearly. I thought I'd just go away and I'd be so happy, and no, it wasn't like that. There was the relief of not having to deal with people that were here, but then I had to deal with new people. Although most of those people were nice, but there was a lot of, it wasn't busy like it normally is because it was mask wearing times. It was just after that or during that period. But there was still, a fair bit of people around. And yeah, that's where I went. So I've met a couple of people actually around here that went to Thailand, and they went to those parts. The thing is, there's lots of islands that I could have gone. I could have gone on excursions. There was a big old ferry full of little boats which I could have travelled to multiple different islands, because it is pretty much paradise, isn't it, out there? The thing is, once I got out there, I just the first time, because I went out twice, the first time I broke my rib, because I just had a genuine massage, like a proper Thai massage, and this bloke, he just pressed on my back, and all I heard was click, a really loud click. He found it funny. I couldn't breathe. I didn't find it quite as funny. I mean, maybe if I was able to breathe, I might have been able to laugh, but And that was, I think, the second day in. So from then on, I just couldn't really do much. It didn't stop me getting around, but I couldn't, I wasn't sleeping really. I wasn't able to, it was very uncomfortable to the point where I left early. I got an early flight back. But I did manage to give food out. So that was really good. I loved that bit. So I managed to give loads of food out to people that were hungry. So the second time I went, I thought, I deserve, once my rib was healed up, it started getting bad again downstairs, and I thought, oh no, more, I've got to get out of here. And I had to go somewhere, so I just thought, yeah, just go there. Just got a flight, didn't book a hotel or anything. I just went there, got to Bangkok, and decided where to go next. And I ended up in a sports bar. Really nice. It's full of Australians, run by Australians, full of Australian customers. I was the only Brit there, I think. And it was really, well, it was a sports bar. It was aimed at all the different sports. The good thing, I did have boxing on once. So that was one of the highlights of the holiday. Sitting there, having me breakfast, watching heavyweight boxing fight. It was Andy Ruiz and Andy Ruiz and Otis was it? I forget his name. But yeah, it was a Cuban fighter. But anyway, that was good. So technically things were going well there. I got there just before my birthday. And had a really good birthday. Went on this big pub crawl. It was part of another bar, and they took us all around different places, different pubs and stuff. And the next day, I had a chest infection. I was feeling ill during that day as well, as it was going on. And I had a chest infection that lasted about 10 days. So I was in bed. And then I tried to get a ticket early to go home, couldn't. So I ended up staying there for 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, I can't remember. And then I was well for about, I was still coughing a bit, but I was on my way to getting better. Wasn't completely healed, wasn't completely back, but I probably had a couple of days of feeling better. And I'd had probably 4 days of being able to go out and walk around. I waited until it was the evening when there wasn't so many people around, because unfortunately I daren't cough in public, because somebody would always shout out a certain word beginning with C and then ended with id. That was weird. So yeah. But I didn't realise, because they were putting adverts on TV in Thailand that was just scaring everyone. Like proper, yeah. It's weird seeing what other countries do. So Michelle, how did you decide to start the Bore You to Sleep podcast? They're great, by the way. Thank you. They're great. By the way, I'm slurring today. Am I slurring, or am I just being lazy? A little bit of both. I'm a bit tired. Yesterday I was shattered. Like at the end of it, I had to go to bed early. I hadn't eaten really much. It drained everything out of me. So I woke up today. Feel like I'm a little bit recovering from that. It's weird. I'm not built for that stuff anymore. Taking on other people's stuff, I'm not. So I think with the Let Me Bore You to Sleep, it was 2018. I did have precursors to the Let Me Bore You to Sleep. In 2010, I did a hypnochats, which was basically a mixture between chatting and hypnosis. So I would just talk about my day, about a subject, and then I would ease into a hypnosis session. And I'd end up doing like a relaxation session at the end of it. So that's the hypnochats. And I'd choose a subject, and it could be all kinds of weird things. I mean, I do still have them, but no one ever listened to them, so I just got rid of them. but I've still got them on here on my... Really? That's weird. Oh, okay, Hypno Chats. Is it Hypno Chats? Yeah, I do. Still got it on there. Still got the recordings. I've got 20. 20? Yeah, 20 different ones. They range. They do range of different subjects. Number 1 was future. Number 2 is public transport and ascending healing energy. Wow. I wonder if it tells me what year it was. No, it doesn't. It says 2015. But it was long before that. Yeah, and then so I did Hypno Chats. Then I did another version, talking out. Talking out loudly, or thinking out loudly. I don't know, something like that. Which was like another version of this, where I just talked about stuff. And then I did Hypnotic Buffet. Hypnotic Buffet. See if that's still around on my... Oh, it's not. Hypnotic Buffet. Have I lost all those recordings, have I? Okay, I may have lost them all. Oh, never mind. Oh, no, I don't really want to have lost them all, to be fair. Hypnotic Buffet. Oh, no, they are still on there. I was looking at in the wrong folder. So there are 31 Hypnotic Buffets. And the last one I did was... That's weird. I want to see properties. That's it. According to this, the last one I did was the 6th of August 2018. But that, I don't think that would be true. It says created the 11th of September 2018. Yeah, I don't think that's true either. It'd be before that. So, yeah, I did those. Did I have those named? I don't know. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, the underlying thing was, so Hypnotic Buffet, thoughts and ideas to transform lives, every Monday. So this is what I did probably 2000... Well, maybe it was 2015. Did I, or was it, what was it, 2018? No, it wouldn't have been 2018. I don't think so, anyway. But I started the Let Me Boy to Sleep in... That was previous versions, general. Yeah, 11th of September 2008. That's just when they were transferred. So after that, so I did the 3 different things. So I used to do Jason Chats, which was just a blog about my life, and I just talk about that. And someone posted, I think it was on YouTube, they said, "Oh, I always fall asleep whenever you do your blogs." Part of me was a little bit like, oh, that's a bit rude, a little bit rude. You know, I'm talking about my life and you're falling asleep. My stomach's going, it's time for food, baby. Food, food, food. But then another part of me thought, there's something in that. So regardless what I talk about, you're bored. That's what the person said. You just bore me and I fall asleep. They might have been trying to be rude, but I thought about it and I thought, okay. So I started a podcast, Let Me Bore You to Sleep, which was... When was it? Let Me Bore You to Sleep. 27th of March 2018. That was the very first. So we have... I missed that. I could have put down the... What was it? 18, 19, 20... I could have done a 7th year anniversary episode, but I didn't think about it. Oh well. So yeah, so that was the very, very, very first recording of the Let Me Bore You to Sleep. Now, I didn't do any research. I didn't look online to see if anyone else was doing boring recordings. I just did it. And there is another podcast, something like Bore Me to Sleep, that's been around a few more years than me. And someone was saying, "Oh, you're just copying them." And like, no. First of all, I didn't know they existed. Secondly, I don't think anyone does what I do. I don't mean that in a good way, because, you know, I'd probably be better off if I did copy other people. But this is what I do is unique. Even if it was the identical type of thing, it would still be different. Yeah, if you like gave a topic, talk about watching tennis, and you gave that topic to any other podcast and you gave it to me, mine's going to be different from theirs, and theirs is probably going to be different from everyone else's as well. So it's going to be different. So that's how I ended up doing this. I didn't expect it to lead anywhere. I really didn't. I didn't think it would be... Yeah, I didn't really think anything of it. It was just a new thing. I thought maybe I'd do perhaps 10, 20, you know, like the hypnotic buffet or the hypno chats. I didn't think it would lead to anything sort of ongoing, but it did. And over 7 years later, here we are. And I think it's because I was getting feedback. People were telling me they're very relaxing, regardless of what I talk about. And some people like the fact that I'm real. I do make stuff up, obviously. I think that's obvious. I do that as well. I don't generally take myself too seriously. I can see the funny side to a lot of things. And also, something that I didn't know would happen is I was getting a lot of people over the years telling me that I'm company. That actually it's a friendly voice to listen to. It's like you get to know me and you get to listen to me every day, and it's something that some people look forward to. So that's, in some ways, that's probably more of a compliment. Yeah, I mean, that's partly why there's a couple of... If I see an elderly person, not just elderly, but if I see someone in the park, they're on their own, because generally I only talk to dog walkers, because Vinny wants to say hello to them. He loves people, but he loves dog walkers because they've got treats. There's a few dogs he says hello to as well. But Vinny wants to say hello to everybody. So if the person looks okay, some people don't look approachable, to be fair, but if the person looks approachable, I'll let Vinny take me up to them and I'll just say, "Can he say hello?" He wants to say hello. And no one's ever said go away yet. I think I did have one person ignore me and just walk on. But it's okay, that's my mum, so she had a reason. A couple of times, one recently, a man said, "That'll be my only contact today, so thank you." I was like, oh. So I'm avoiding from now on. And joking. And then I think yesterday or the day before, it was a bloke and a man, he said, "Oh, thank you for stopping, thank you for talking to me. So these are like people that live on the estate. Maybe they don't see anyone, I don't know. But Vinny absolutely loves people. And he knows when a person's friendly. Because that's when this bloke, I think yesterday, said, oh, he just wants to come, he must like everyone. I said, no, not necessarily. He does love people, but he knows people. There's people he doesn't want to go and say hello to. He can tell who's friendly and who's not friendly. He knows. I think dogs actually do know. They can tell a dog lover from someone that isn't a dog lover. Maybe not instantly, but there's people that clearly that I kind of know that don't like Vinny, but not don't like him, but kind of keep the distance from him. Not really into dogs, and he knows that. He gets excited to see them, but he doesn't try and jump up. He doesn't really take much notice of them, really. So he knows, and this bloke was so happy that I was telling him that, yeah, he's fussy who he says hello to, because he knows if someone's not friendly, and he seemed to really appreciate that. So that was nice. I don't know how I got onto that subject. Last question. Brooke, my friend Brooke. What is hypnosis and why does it work? What are some myths about hypnosis that are important to dispel? What is your best tofu recipe? Okay, the last one, I don't have one, so I'm going to skip that one. Now, if you just said toffee recipe, I'd just say I love anything with toffee, especially ones where I get ended up with bits of toffee in my beard, scaring the neighbours. Would you tell someone, though, if you were talking to someone, I'm not talking about a complete stranger, but someone that you see regularly, someone you may see daily even, and you saw they had toffee sticking out their beard, would you mention it to them? I mean, there's ways of mentioning it without being rude, isn't there? It's like if I'm going out and I've got gravy all down my top and ice cream on my head, like, okay, perhaps we shouldn't mention that because there's something going on there. But just a little, I would have preferred, mind you, something happened yesterday and I wasn't particularly pleased with. I was talking to my neighbour and I was saying, I wear a hat because I don't like to, because I'm a little bit conscious about my bald patch on the top of my head. And he said, what about the one at the front of your head? I said, what do you mean? He said, the one at the front where you got a comb over. I said, I do not have a comb over. My hair's not long enough. I can't even brush my hair. It's not long enough to brush. He said, there's none there. I said, technically you're correct. That is probably the reason. But from the distance he could see that like the front of their hair is pretty much just disappearing. Which means, and I really am not pleased to say this, it means what I'm going to have is hair around the side. And I've already got a bald patch at the back. It's thinning out on top. I don't know how long it's going to take. Now, my decision will have to be this. If it does in fact happen, so the bald patch grows and the one at the front kind of grows to the point of meeting in the middle, what do I do with the stray hairs? Do I let them grow really long and pretend that that's hair and hold on to that? So I know people who do that. They cherish those hairs even though there's only like a little fuzz now, because it's their hair. They cherish it. It's important to them, regardless of how ridiculous it might look. They love it. They keep it. And I'm now in that position where I'm thinking, yeah, I might have to keep that. Have a little bit of fuzz on top. little Brillo pad. I don't know. I don't know what because I used to have an attitude when I was younger. I used to shave my head. I still do shave my head sometimes. Like, it doesn't matter. If I ever go bald, it will not affect me at all because I've walked around for years with a bald head. Being bald would not affect me at all. Now, it's easy to say that when you're not bald, when you're not naturally bald. So shaving my head bald is a lot different from actually not needing to shave my head bald because it's doing it naturally. Yeah, I didn't realise that, you know what, it's not as non-affecting me as I thought. And Brooke might be listening to this thinking, what's that got to do with how hypnosis works? Okay, I'll go back to that. Hypnosis. All I can do is my understanding, because I've read so many books, I know what the theories are, all the different theories. And like the myths about hypnosis, what's important to dispel. Even now I see on Facebook and places the idea hypnosis, if you like, is somehow harmful or giving away control to someone and they can make you do whatever they want you to do, and it's not true. It's really not. It's not how it works. Maybe there's a degree of, I suppose, if you was hypnotizing someone every day and you wanted to, you could sort of play around with it and have fun with it. But ultimately, can't just control someone completely. I don't think. Maybe some people can. I don't have that. Everyone's manipulable, able to be manipulated. And as people of public, we are. That's why there's adverts on TV. Constantly, everyone's being, at least they're trying to manipulate us. And that is in no way a conspiracy thing. It's just a factual thing. And hypnosis has been used in advertising. It's one of the first things that was used for. Like, generally, hypnosis was used for advertising because they knew that it worked. They knew that they wanted to, and advertising is manipulation to try and get you to buy a product or to think a certain way. So yeah, it works. That stuff works. I don't know, hypnosis, some of the myths with it, I would say, I think it's a standard thing. Some people think that the hypnotist will get them to do silly things, like with stage hypnosis, but that's not the case. The idea that maybe you'd be in hypnosis and you're completely unconscious and you don't know anything that's going on, I would say that's not the case either, because the fact that the unconscious, you might be consciously unaware, the unconsciously aware, but you've got to remember your unconscious is looking out for you all the time. That's the thing that pulls your hand back when it touches a hot surface. Not your conscious mind, your unconscious, your automatic reflexes is looking out for you. It's not your conscious mind that sees that speeding car coming as you're walking, about to walk out on the road, between two cars, you're about to walk out, you don't see it, but you move back like in an instant. It's not your conscious mind that does that. Because if it was your conscious mind that does that, you'd get hit by the car. Our conscious minds don't move that quickly. So your unconscious mind or your subconscious mind or whatever you want to call it, I call it unconscious because we're not really conscious of it, that's all. It's not unconscious like being asleep. I like to believe it's looking out for us, has our best interest at heart. But when it comes to hypnosis, I suppose going back to theory and how it works, it doesn't always know what's right. It can see if a car's coming towards us that the right thing is to get out of the way. If you put your hand on a hot stove, you take it away. It's the right thing. Things like that, protecting our bodies, is standard. But sometimes, when it comes to things like phobias and being worried about things and stuff like that, the unconscious mind doesn't always know. It needs help, needs us to let it know what's, I mean, you could say in a way like a computer, but programming. It needs guidance, needs supervision. So the unconscious mind just needs to be, it needs us to let it know what it needs. And I think we need to be quite specific as well. And there's different ways you can do that. Just by, you can do affirmations, you can do hypnosis, you can do all this stuff, but you could also just live the life. So Brooke, for example, Brooke, you're living the life. You're doing what you do, helping people who've had strokes, and you're living. If you live the life that you want to live, your unconscious mind helps you to continue to live the life you live. So if you're thinking positive things, your unconscious mind is basically hearing that, like, oh, you want to be positive, you want to think more positive thoughts. If you've got kind of love in your heart and you're thinking about people that you care about, your unconscious mind realizes that, and you need more of that. So our unconscious mind's always listening to our thoughts. So what we say to ourselves is hugely important. I mean, technically you say that's not hypnosis, it's just the brain, it's the mind. So yeah, fair enough, but it's still part of that whole thing. You get what you think about. You get more of what you think about. We become what we think about. And there's so many examples of this around us. You can see it. If you know someone that's constantly complaining, like constantly, you can see even in their face, their behavior, their interactions. You can see how even their voice, even their health is affected by that negativity, by that internal looking at things in a negative way. So even I guess, because some of the funniest people can be really negative, like proper funny, but then some of those people are not very happy. So it's one of those things. What do you focus on? We get what we focus on. And it's not like an instant thing, but it's kind of like it works in different ways. So you get we get what we focus on. So if let's say itchy bum, let's say I'm focusing on having an itchy bum, it gets itchier. And that's actually a good example. If you're kind of thinking and it works with the unconscious mind, it doesn't understand negative and positive, really. It just focuses on what you're thinking about. So if you're thinking, oh, I don't want to have that itch in the bottom of my foot. I don't want to have that itch in the bottom of my foot. All your unconscious mind is really going to get from that is focus on the itch in your foot. It's just going to focus on it. So So if you put in a different language, I like my foot to feel relaxed and calm. And, by imagining that might change it that way. And also, our brains don't know that, and this is, scientists say this, our brains don't know the difference between imagined and real, in a sense of, if we imagine feeling relaxed, lying on a beach, on a hammock or whatever, and actually doing it, we have the same physiological effect on our bodies and on our minds as if we were actually there. I'm not saying that you could get a suntan, but I'm just, generally our unconscious mind, or our mind, our brain, doesn't know the difference. And I think that's quite interesting, actually. So my motto, and it's not my motto, I took it from Earl Nightingale, but it is, we become what we think about. And I try and remember that every single day. We become what we think about. So if you think about, what do you want to become? If someone wants to stay, let's say someone wants to stay unhappy, then just think about unhappy things. It's kind of basic, really. And I don't think anyone could argue that would probably help the person to feel rubbish inside, if that's all they focus on. And that's why I don't watch these like true crime things. I'm not knocking anyone that does, but I just don't find it is useful for me. My mental states. It's really interesting, that's for sure. I know that. I understand why people get caught up in it, especially the ones where you see all the film footage from the police arresting the people and then the interrogation. It makes me want to watch it now. But I've spent like 2 hours watching one of them, and it's so fascinating. But at the same time, I don't feel good afterwards. It's, there's been so much horrible stuff I've just ingested that's pretty much poison, really, if you think about it. Poison for the mind, negativity. So, yeah, we become what we think about. So I try and remember that every day and try to focus. I focus on doing these recordings, helping people, and that's my life. That is everything to me. So that's kind of, so I don't know if I have, but I feel like I've become this in a way, but with moods, with an unstable personality, but I've become this person that I wanted to become, or I've just become me. In some ways I feel like I found my voice. It took a long time, but I seem to have found my voice since I've been doing these Let Me Bore You to Sleeps recordings. I do feel like I've found me, and I can just be me. And I know that I do censor myself a lot. Sometimes when I do these, I think, because I don't want to upset anyone. And I try not to swear, and my natural would probably be to swear a little bit. But it's still ultimately just me being me. And in a way, we can't really be anything more than ourselves, can we? There's got to come a point, especially at my age, I was like, maybe I am good enough. I may be better, I may become better. I just remember years ago, I was in the Buddhist centre, and I said to someone, because they pointed out one of my flaws, which is sometimes Buddhists have a tendency to do, especially when I'm around them. And I said, well, I'm not doing this, I don't want to be perfect. And he was confused by that. I said, what do you mean you don't want to be perfect? I said, I don't. I'm not trying to be perfect. And that went against how he was, I guess, attempting his own life to be perfect. I never wanted to be perfect. I just wanted to be better. I want to leave something, I want to be useful. I didn't want to be useful, not when I was in my 20s, but since the age of, pretty much since 2006 when I was 35, although it started before then, but I didn't really manage to do much until till 2006. I wanted to help people, but knowing that I'm not really I struggle being around people for any length of time. Generally, not all people. I meet the occasional person that I can spend time with, but I had to make that decision, like, you know what, I can help one person. I can spend 50 minutes or 4 hours and I can help 4 people in that 4 hours. Or I can make a recording online and help hundreds of people with just one recording uploaded to YouTube or Facebook or wherever I was doing it, whatever podcast host I was using at that time. MySpace to start with. And then when the videos were getting thousands of views, it made sense that instead of doing a group session where I was seeing maybe 12, sometimes 18 people, I can reach 1,000 people or 500 people. And that's a large audience. I mean, between 1,000 and 2,000 people, that's a big old theatre. So that's pretty much why I went in this direction. What is hypnosis? How does it work? I don't know if I've really answered that question, but I kind of given my version of what I think. It's more than just having someone talk to you and get you to relax and focus on this and whatever. It's about thoughts, it's about attitude, it's about expectation. What do you believe is going to happen? Belief is so strong, so powerful, like the most powerful thing. What you expect to happen, what you really expect to happen, has such an impact on what does actually happen. So expect things to go well. Just an idea. Right, the noisy people are back in the garden. So they clearly don't have a break at Easter. Bless them. So I'm going to go. So thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself because you do deserve to be happy. Thank you to Anne, Maria, Georgie, Hilary, Michelle and Brooke for your questions. I hope I've answered them. And sorry the introduction was so long. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.